talk about a United Ireland, Colum. We got sort of two big sort of sections here. Let me read out a question from Jasmine, first of all, which is more kind of structural or constitutional. What would a united or new Ireland ideally look like to you? Would Stormont remain a governing body of a region? How would unionist parties fit into the Dáil? And how would we create a united Ireland for all?
Well, I suppose first of all, we will announce the next couple of weeks our membership of our New Ireland Commission, which will be basically a lot of experts in different fields looking at policy, and we work through all of these big questions. But I think the core of the question that Jasmine has asked is basically, does the Good Friday Agreement remain post-constitutional change? So does Stormont remain? I think it does. I think it should. We have grown up, as much as I want to see a United Ireland and New Ireland, we've grown up differently, and we've grown at different paces and in different ways. And I think there is a very strong case for Stormont remaining, obviously in a different way. But I firmly believe in the protections of the Good Friday Agreement for minorities, and I would want to see those in whatever form that would take within a United Ireland as well. And I think we need to look at all those things. We need to challenge ourselves as Irish nationalists. I think we're going to have a big job to challenge people in Dublin and the South around some of the changes that they're going to have to make. But we can't all be rhetorical about our, republicanism. We have to be on it. We have to be genuine about uniting the people of this island. And that will take big compromise. It'll take big changes in how the island is ordered. And that will be challenging for a lot of people. But that is a conversation that I think is worth having. And should it be an Ireland for all? Absolutely. It's not worth having otherwise.
We got a question from essentially from Jasmine, from Hugh, from Ciara, and from somebody else as well, all around the idea of how you engage with unionists at the point that you've just made. There seems to be, and I wonder what your thoughts are on this, we regularly in these kind of conversations talk about the importance of having the conversation. If you had to design the system right now, I mean, what about things like Ireland joining the Commonwealth? What about 12th of July? What about Remembrance Day? Because you're a smart guy, and the SDLP is full of very bright people who engage with unionists all the time. You have a rough idea of the kind of stuff that would need to be in a new Ireland.
Yes, I do, and we think about it all the time, as you say, and we will release documents about all those things in the next wee while. But I think it's not a good idea to start a conversation by telling people what you think they want. So we have tasked all of our elected representatives to go out into their local communities and, for want of a better term, go and speak to some unionists and have a conversation with them. Not in a kind of a imposing your views idea, but literally just get a sense of where people are at. The issue for us is that unionist political parties are not engaging. I think that's a mistake on their part, but it's also their right. So we're involved in multiple levels of dialogue with different people from across the community. We will enhance and expand that over the next few months. We are speaking, and we're engaging with experts to form this New Ireland Commission where we'll go through all of this. But look, I have certain views around that. I do think we need to find ways of embracing unionist culture, unionist identity, Britishness in a way that has not been done in the 26 counties since its foundation. You talk about the 12th of July. Well, I remember standing with John Hume at the, I don't know what age I was, 16 or 17, watching the apprentice boys coming around the city centre in Derry, which was always a very emotive event in the city. And I was saying something stupid like, what are they doing here, or whatever, really young and stupid. And John said, well, how can we have a United Ireland if we can't accommodate the apprentice boys in Derry? Because Derry is basically a microcosm of what a New Ireland would look like in terms of demographics. And it just stuck with me, because we need to be very open and honest that people of a different view exist, live here, are a hugely important part of the culture. And we can't have a kind of we can't do in a New Ireland what was done in the first 50 years of the new Northern Ireland. We have to be, I think, almost over the top in terms of our generosity to make people feel comfortable. But I would love unionist people, whether unionist parties or not, do this. Unionist people to think about what they would like, and to help co-design that with us. And that doesn't mean we're going to turn unionists into nationalists. They can vote whatever way they want, but we should have a conversation about if it was going to happen, how it would look. And just in the same way, we've worked very actively over many years to make Northern Ireland better and make it more welcoming and more accommodating and more fair and just and to have protections for minorities. We have to do that same work.
There are two kind of things, Colum, that I maybe hear from people in response to that. One is some unionists feel as if entering into this conversation is a bit of a trick because they believe that they are being used in order to, to say, oh, well, we're having those conversations with unionists and they don't want to have any part in a new Ireland. And why should they have that conversation? I wonder what your thoughts are on that. And the other one is, none of this actually needs to happen. All that a United Ireland needs is 51%. So I ask you, I mean, what are the prerequisites for the SDLP before even having a border poll?
Well, first of all, yeah, I mean, in any democracy, yeah, it's 50% plus one. That's the way it is. But that's not what I want. I want as much buy-in as possible because you're not just talking about what, and some people think like this, we need to win a referendum. It's not about winning a referendum. It's about building a nation and building, as Seamus Mallon talked about, the shared home place where people feel comfortable and confident within themselves, within their identity, whatever that happens to be, but that we can have a better, from my perspective, constitutional setup. So, I mean, that's, well, and the other thing people need to remember is the British government hold all the cards in this. They decide when the referendum occurs, which I think is a pretty bad thing because this particular British government will not do whatever is right for the people here. They will do what suits them. The first part of that question was, will unionists or should unionists engage? I can tell you they are engaging already. I mean, just ordinary unionist people are speaking to us and are interested. They're not changing who they are, but they want to know our view on things. And I think we should view this in a different way than United Ireland or not. This is actually, do people have a positive, in my view, the best way to have this conversation is, do unionist people have a positive perspectives for the United Kingdom? And do people who want to see constitutional change have a positive perspective for a United Ireland, for want of a better term? And let's have a discussion and a debate and all of that. Now, we all have to do our work on that first, but I think that's, 22 or whatever years after the Good Friday Agreement, I think that's that's something I think we would have expected to be doing about now. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, if you had to put a timeline, Colum, I mean, do you want to see a border poll in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? That's my first question. And my second one is, just quantify for us a little bit more. I mean, do you want to see like a big white paper that says, here's the plan for a new Ireland that is published before anything goes anywhere?
Well, in terms of timing, I avoid that because I think we have the referendum when we're ready to have it. And again, it's not up to us, it's up to the British government. And I think from the nationalist perspective, need to be very careful about what they're asking for because I want a referendum that we're going to win. I don't want one that we're going to lose and all the implications that has. And the British government have it within their gift to call an early election, a referendum if they want, which I think would be bad for those of us who want to try and change the constitution. What was your second question? Sorry.
Would you want like a white paper?
Yeah, well, we're going to do that. You will see the SDLP publishing discussion papers, not as kind of this is it over a long period, over a period of months and years, and asking people to engage with those papers and those ideas, and we'll be listening to other people's perspectives on it and everything else. And at the end, I think yes, we need to have a blueprint. If you look at what the Scottish National Party did at the referendum, in the nearly 1,000 pages of a document, lots of things worked out, still didn't win. So I think there's an awful lot of work to be done. We're going to engage in that work. We're already engaged in it. We're going to expand it and involve more people. And I think it's exciting. I mean, I genuinely think my generation has an opportunity to change things. And, if you think about the generation that brought the Good Friday Agreement, they had an awful lot of work to do just to bring peace. And that was it. I think we should be entitled to demand a bit more than that and to have prosperity and peace, yes, reconciliation, and an open society. I mean, I just frankly don't want to live in a place that its politics is governed by English nationalism. I'd rather be part of the European Union and part of something that is global and progressive and connected, not driven by this kind of crazy notion that Boris Johnson has, an understanding of the world. I think we're in a different place here.